Howdy, this is Marisa with Marisa Moments, the Healing While I Heal podcast, where we share real life stories and their healing translations. So let's just get straight into it. Spirit brought back into my awareness, they always love to put me on a replay reel, even though they keep telling me to move forward. I'm like, are we moving forward or are we standing still? Which one is it? But anyway, what they brought into my awareness, third eye awareness, is several different experiences with different doctors, right? I can remember one called me a paradox because they put me on this medication that made me completely zonked out of my mind. Like, I was so tired. I actually slept through an appointment because I was just that tired. And then when I told him, he almost just didn't even believe me because he said the side effects were actually the opposite. Most people reported that they couldn't sleep when they started taking the medication. And I was like, well, apparently I'm not most people, right? And he called me a paradox. Now, mind you, at the moment, I had to Google it. I had to look it up because I didn't even know what a paradox was. But anyway, I'll leave it to you to Google too. A little assignment if you don't know. Now you will. Anywho, moving on, I can recall after having one of my daughters, I developed MRSA-infected mastitis. Yes, you heard that correctly. MRSA-infected mastitis. That's a lot of M's. That's a lot of pronunciation. That's a lot of lotta, right? Very painful, very gross, very traumatic. All the things, right? And I can remember my doctor looking at me and she was like, how in the world did this even happen? Mind you, I developed MRSA from the hospital, right? Because of course, why not, right? And I was like, I'm Murphy's Law. That was my response, literal response. And she was like, apparently you are. I ended up hospitalized for a couple of days and all that type of stuff. It was a whole ordeal, but that's a whole different podcast, right? And I can also recall, I've had a lot of moments. That's why it's called Marisa Moments. Anyway, I can recall not so long ago when I was getting examined for, they were running this test, right? It was, I forgot what it's called, where they stick these electrodes into your muscles to see your response rate when they basically shock you. It's very medieval, but they did it. I did it because I was trying to get to the root of my pain, right? And as they were doing it, I can recall I was just kind of laying in the bed and I just was focused. And so every time he did it, it was bothersome. And I guess maybe in hindsight, it was painful. But in comparison to the pain that I was already experiencing, it was nothing. And at one point, throughout the entire thing, the doctor kept checking in on me. You okay? You okay? It was almost like he kept cranking up the machine just to see if I was still alive, right? Because I just wasn't given any real response, or I guess not the response he was accustomed to. So at one point, when we're almost done with the test, he keeps asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yes, just do it, right? And he calls me stoic. Now, mind you, first I thought he was speaking a foreign language. I was like, I went out and told my husband, I was like, oh, he used his native tongue and called me stoic. And I was like, oh, one of those moments where you have that epiphany where you're like, oh my God, seriously, I just did not do that the entire time. In my brain, I thought I was learning a whole new language, but it was English. Anywho, if you don't know what stoic means, look it up. I had to, and no judgment, right? So those are just a few of the labels that I've been stamped with by the medical society, right? And why am I telling you all this? Because there's going to be a healing translation. What I receive is another epiphany. I often try to fit in so much, but even my body is like, nah, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Did I mention that I'm also allergic to, the world? True story, because that's all we share here, right? True story. If I don't take an allergy medicine every single day, when I walk outside, my legs start to itch so bad that they burn. I can't walk more than a block without wanting to scratch the flesh off of my body. And it's concentrated in my legs, but it's not solely in my legs. Mind you, I've had this whole experience my entire life. For most of my years, I was just told I wasn't putting on enough lotion, right? So I would slather it on, and that didn't work. I went to Vaseline, that didn't work. So then I just thought I was weak sauce, because I was like, well, maybe everybody's itching and I'm the one who can't stand it, right? I used to even run into like the bathrooms and run like the hot air dryer in my pants. That might be TMI, but we're family here, right? Anyway, I'm not talking about that, but I'm just sharing this to illustrate to you that our body will often tell us who we are before our brains can catch up, right? Because I mean, it's taken me to get to level 43 at this point to recognize and realize that, sure, I'm different, whatever that means, right? And I don't have to put on some false voice or raise my voice up several octaves in order to fit in or to be considered nice. I don't have to pretend to like something that I don't. I don't have to pretend to do anything. Now, mind you, I am trying to be a good, air quotes, I wish you could see it, I'm doing air quotes right now, envision it, a good human being, right? I'm trying to do my part to heal the world as I heal. I mean, this podcast is an example of that, but I'm going to cut this short, because I know if you're anything like me, you have a short attention span too. So the translation for you as it relates to you is tune into your body. Tune into the way that people have interacted with your body, because sometimes we put like a damaged translation. Now, when I mentioned the Murphy's Law thing, that was me putting defeat into my own mind, into my own heart, right? Because I was like, if anything, everything that can go wrong will, right? That's how I looked at myself, because that's how I was programming myself. And instead, what my body was trying to tell me is that it's not that everything goes wrong, it's that you don't fit into the mold here. Maybe you're from another planet. And of course, I'm referring to myself, but in third person, right? But maybe I'm talking about you too. Because if Spirit has me using those terminology, those words, that verbiage, then it is because it's meant for you to hear and for you to reflect upon it. Stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to be like everyone else when everybody else is trying to be like everyone else. At what point do we get to the originals, right? And you can't be an original by being a clone of someone else. So listen to your body, trust yourself, be yourself. That's what's most important. And that's about it. So you know the routine. If this message resonates, then that means it's for you. And if not, that's cool too. Just keep it pushing. Either way, I thank you for listening, and I wish you the very best day ever. Until next time, you know the vibes. Peace.